I'd like you to think about that for a moment. And who has the first question?
I was reading a lot about the Big Bang Theory and what science thinks about the beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I'm not like you, I'm a layman, and I don't know very much about science, I'll be honest with everybody here. So what I know is what I read, and I believe what the people that study is saying. Right?
So you believe in evolution then?
No, I believe what they're saying is because they study it and they came to a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say I believe in evolution. And when I read my Bible, I see things that the scientific community say. Basically, that everything has a beginning, and that I see in my Bible. That the universe has a beginning. It's not eternal. It didn't exist all the time. And it has an end.
And your question would be?
No, my question is why, if I see that on my Bible, how these people that wrote the Bible, I'm not done with my question.
Okay.
How they have that notion that everything had a beginning
How,
and everything will have an end.
Yes.
Yes.
The Bible?
In the beginning, God created the
pretty
heavens
simple.
and the earth. Is there a point there was no universe? And from that point, there was the universe.
Okay.
The Bible said that God created
That's a
that
good point.
universe.
I'll be happy to answer that when you're ready for me to answer. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's say there's no religion in the world, and I am going to start a religion, not knowing any scientific knowledge at all. What's the first thing I'm going to start? What's the first page? If I'm going to create my own God and my own religion, what's the first thing that anybody's going to do? In the beginning, there was nothing. And then God created something. God created where we're at right now. That would be the first thing that anybody would do. So your argument saying, I see it in the Bible and now they're proving it in science, that's not a very strong argument. Because, well, it might be for you. For me, if I was going to invent a religion, that would be the first thing that I would say, the big light, or I wouldn't call it the Big Bang, obviously, but I would invent something that would be very, very close to that. And if you see other religions as well, they'll have exactly the same thing. So your Bible is not the only one that says God created the universe.
Oh, but I have a very, well, because we all come from the same descendant, clearly he can pass down that knowledge to all the people in the world. So they all will have the same understanding because they heard from the same, you know.
Doug, you got a question?
Well, I was just going to kind of contribute a little bit. The ancient Greeks thought that there was really no beginning. That and what you see is that in the ancient religions, it wasn't so much God creating everything, but the gods came out of the primordial waters. And so it's flipped on its head.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible teaches that first there was God, and then he created the water and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the Greek religions and the Egyptian religion, you have water was the primeval substance.
I didn't know that.
Just always was.
I learned something new.
And then gods, they somehow arose out of it, and then they, some masturbated or they did weird things, and that's how the seed for the world and other things came about.
Well, that's interesting concept. I haven't heard of that one. That's almost like the strange things in the Bible, it might say. There might be coincidental. Anyone else?
So you said you were raised in a Christian family, Protestant?
I was raised as a Protestant, but it was not a religious family. They took me to...
kind of the notion of the God of the Bible, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I went to Bible study when I was a teenager. I went to Sunday school when I was smaller. Not every Sunday, most Sundays. And I think that we didn't talk about God or read the Bible at home. And
just a simple yes or no. Do you have a notion of the God of the Bible?
Of course.
Okay. See, I believe it. I believe every word in the Bible, and it changed my life. I'm not going to tell you my testimony because you already made your mind on not believing in the God of the Bible.
Same as you, yes.
So, see, we believe that God intended the family to be the nucleus of society. And yet, you just mentioned, you consider yourself as the spiritual guide of your family?
One more time? Spiritual guide of my family? You have to define spiritual for me to answer that.
Well, let me say, are you the man of the house?
No, my woman is the man of the house. And financially and other matters, and I'm the man of the house when it comes to gardening and construction.
Okay.
We share our responsibilities.
Let me just put it in your own words. Based on what you just said, that if you leave your wife, quote, if you leave me, I'll kill you, end of quote. See,
Don't take that literally, man.
In our book, we are based on love, and that love in my life comes from the Bible,
That's
from
good.
the love that God has shown me by changing my life. Now, you said you're compensable, right?
Yes.
Okay, that
I
means
said that there might be a God, and if there is, he would show himself much more clearly.
Okay, yes or no? You're compensable.
I'm convincible, yes.
Okay. Who's the person that you love the most alive in this world?
I don't
Your
know.
wife. Okay. So let's say you get in the freeway right now and God forbids you get in an accident. And this 18-wheeler rips your car apart and your wife is about to die right there on the freeway. Will you not call on to God for
Absolutely
help?
not.
No?
No. I don't believe in a God or supernatural power that can. She believes she is going to die the same as I'm going to die. Both of us believe that when everybody dies, there is no soul that exits the body and goes to another place. That is a supernatural. We only believe in natural laws. We believe in the laws of physics, and we don't believe in anything supernatural.
So you got no fear of God at all?
I have no fear of God. I have much more fear of men believing in God than I do in God.
Well,
If there was a God.
about the rocks, throwing rocks at you. That
Oh.
was kind of a joke. But
It was a
you-
joke.
if-
Well,
if
look
you
at the
believe-
atheists in the past. They were burned.
But you know, just
What's the question then?
the question is,
Yes, try to concentrate
if
on
you would
questions.
call, if
I know
you
that
call
all
on
of you
God
believe.
in a moment of need.
I don't
Yes.
think you would. I don't think you would.
No, I wouldn't do it. You know what I would do? In fact, there was a great scene in, what was the Mel Gibson movie that it didn't have any English in it?
The Passion.
No, I'm sorry, the next one after that, where they're down in the Amazon and they're killing.
I didn't see it.
I'm sorry? Yes, that's right. I can't even pronounce it. Apocalypto. Apocalypto. When the man that is the chief is looking at his son dying out in the field because the guy who escaped just killed him, he says, "Go to sleep, my son. Be comforted. Go to sleep." That's almost what I would say if I knew that I would just say, "I would love you. I love you more than anything." Just to know that she knows that I'm saying those words is enough for me. To me, love, my love for her and the people that I love directly are much more powerful to me than any God's love, because I just don't see it. Now I understand that you believe it, and I believe that you believe. I'm not saying you don't believe. I'm just saying for me, there's no evidence of a supernatural force. There's no evidence of a soul, and there's so many different examples of a soul being so ethereal, so undescribable.
Good point. Let me interrupt you for a second. See, what if I tell you that you know what a flatliner is?
Flag line area.
Flatliner?
Flatliner, yeah.
Somebody flatlines.
Uh-huh.
What if I tell you that I did flatline and I came back to life?
Well, that's good for you. But
you
it has
won't
nothing to do
believe
with
it.
God.
You won't believe it.
Well, of course I do. If you were flatline, and a lot of people do it all the time in hospitals. I was at a hospital
But you just said-
2 months
you just
ago,
said
and there
there
was
is
2
no
blue
miracle.
codes
You said
in
there
30
is no
minutes.
miracle.
Well, what do you mean by flat line? I mean, your heart will go flat and create a flat line. Doesn't mean you're dead. Your heart gets stopped all the time.
You can go without 3 minutes of heart
Doesn't mean you're dead.
without dying, as long as they get you. In fact, you can go up to 15 minutes with CPR.
So you don't believe in miracles?
I have not seen empirical evidence, which means scientific evidence of miracles. No, I don't believe in
Why don't we
miracles.
talk a little more about the specifics? You raised some very good questions, and I think those would be fun to discuss. One of them I thought was kind of interesting. You mentioned that, you know, why doesn't God just tell people to wash their hands? Like you could have avoided it. You said the Black Plague. I didn't.
No, it was just general germ theory.
Okay.
You know,
Well-
many diseases actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have a number of passages that speak about God telling people to wash their hands.
But not for germs.
Okay.
In a religious sense, wash your hands before you touch Jesus' feet, or whatever it might be. I don't know if that one's the case or not. But they don't say wash your hands because you're going to spread germs.
Well, think of it this way. If you've gone and you've touched a body, a dead body, and now you're commanded to wash your hands.